Hey there, this is Iman, that Philly wholesaler chick, and my guest today with Real Estate Wholesaling Explained is Frank McGovern, who is one of the top wholesalers here in the city of Philadelphia. And, you know, many people have been watching Frank on Facebook, and, you know, they've been watching what Frank has been doing and, you know, hearing about all the success that Frank has been having in his real estate wholesaling business. A lot of people want to hear, you know, what Frank has to say about how he's been able to be as successful as he has been here. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Frank. Frank, if you could just pretty much, you know, tell us who you are, and how you got started in real estate wholesaling, and then we'll just, you know, move right along with the rest of the interview. So I'm turning it over to you now, Frank. So the floor is yours.
Hello, everyone. My name is Frank McGovern. I am a wholesaler here in the Philadelphia market. I'm starting to get more involved with rehabbing and rentals, but have been primarily wholesaling for the past few years. Prior to me wholesaling, I was actually in collections and banking for a while. I got laid off a couple times and always wanted to get involved in real estate. So after I got laid off, it was an opportune time for me to get involved with real estate. I originally wanted to just do fix and flips, but you need some knowledge and money to do that, and I had neither when it came to real estate at the time. So I actually went to school to get my real estate license back in 2009, at the end of 2009. I figured I could get my real estate license and learn the market that way, working as an agent, and then eventually get involved with doing fix and flips. I actually did go to school and pass the test, and then in December of 2009, I stumbled upon a website called biggerpockets.com, and I learned about wholesaling. So for a probably good month or so, I just read up on wholesaling every day. And then in January of 2010, I started buying bandit signs and haven't really looked back since.
So, okay, so I know when we, for those who may be watching this, or for those who are watching this, Frank and I made an earlier attempt to record this interview. And one of the things that he talked about was, and I guess since you were like 18, Frank, that you always wanted to get into it. You know, you just had this fascination to get involved with real estate. But, you know, why real estate? I mean, what was it about real estate that, you know, I guess you felt that, you know, this was the path for you, and it would, you know, I guess provide the type of lifestyle that you were looking for yourself, or I guess, you know, your family down the road at that point. So why?
Yeah, since about I was probably a senior in high school, and that's kind of when I realized I wanted to do like fix and flips. Just because I just always felt I could never just work for someone for the rest of my life. Like I always had like an entrepreneurial spirit and just always wanted to be self-employed. And real estate just always piqued my interest. Like I always looked at it like somebody is always going to need a place to live, whether that's they're buying a home or renting a home. So I just felt like it's something that I could work for myself, and make a lot of money doing so. And like I said, just with real estate, I just always felt like it would be something that was always in demand because people always will need a place to live.
Mm-hmm. All right. So, okay, fast forward, then it's 2009, 2010, you know, you're putting bandit signs out. So, you know, to back up a little bit, you did say that you discovered Bigger Pockets. So what was it, you know, I guess on the website about, I guess that piqued your interest about how your entry point was real estate wholesaling. So what was it about real estate wholesaling specifically that piqued your interest?
To me, it was the easiest barrier to entry with my skill set and the amount of money that I had to get involved in real estate investing. And just for me, just researching it and reading up on it, it just fit my personality a lot more than me working as a real estate agent. No offense to real estate agents. I actually am also licensed, but I don't work as an agent too much. But to me, if you're like listing properties and taking people to look at homes, you gotta kiss a lot of asses, and that just doesn't really fit my personality. So after reading on wholesaling, it just fit my personality a lot more.
All right. Okay. So you reading up on real estate wholesaling, on Bigger Pockets, and so, what is it? You said you started out with bandit signs. Is it because that was what the kind of budget you were working with at the time? Why bandit signs?
A combination of things. Like one, definitely my budget. Like I didn't have a lot of money to start marketing, and that was like from the research that I was doing, you got the most bang for your buck when doing bandit signs. And honestly, there wasn't like I literally in December of 2009 never even heard what wholesaling was, and then in January I started marketing. So it was kind of like a learning process, and from the research that I was doing, like I said, the bandit signs, it seemed to generate the most amount of leads with the lowest initial investment.
Right. Absolutely. I mean, that was exactly pretty much how, when it came to marketing, what I started with too was bandit signs. So, and a city like Philadelphia, many major metropolitan areas, you will see a lot of bandit signs. And they do work. I mean, the first deal that the first deal I closed came from a bandit sign. First deal I put under contract came from, a source, a lead source that I'm not going to disclose in this call, but, you know what I mean? It came from that, but bandit signs do work. So, okay, you got.
Yeah, that's like how
Go ahead, Frank.
No, I was just going to say that's how I got my first deal under contract, which I didn't end up selling. But the first deal I closed on was from a bandit sign as well.
Right. So, okay, so from the time that you put up your first set of bandit signs, Frank, how long did it take for you to actually contract a deal?
Like I said, I started doing the bandit signs at some point in January. I think it was like mid-January. The first deal I got under contract, I think, was in March.
Okay.
But I wound up not even selling the property. I did get under contract. I was all excited, and I'm like, oh, here, this is easy. I'm going to make a couple $1,000s and do it quick. And then I showed it to a bunch of people, and nobody bit. Like, it just wasn't that good of a deal. And I didn't really know the market that well at all. So it seemed like a good deal to me, but to the people that mattered, it didn't. Right. It wasn't a deal. So I winded up not even selling it.
Right. Yeah, it was the same thing, same story. We got it under contract for $4,000, marketed it. And the funny thing is, I knew the block was like challenging, but I had put it under contract because I thought that, there was a particular person that would be, in spite of the fact that it was kind of like war zone-ish, that it would still sell. I mean, even at that price. But the good thing
that was.
Go ahead. What were you going to say?
That was the same type of property that I had. It was like, if anybody knows Philadelphia, this property was in Kensington,
okay,
which is not a good area to put it nicely. And, right. I got it pretty cheap. I think I got it for maybe $7,000, $8,000. But it did need a lot of work. So I did market the property, and had a bunch of people that I showed the property to, but people were just saying it just doesn't make sense, the amount of work that it needed.
Right. Which really, if you think about it, I know at the time it probably was frustrating to you, Frank. It was like, dang, put these bandit signs out. I got the deal under contract. I'm the man because I did it in 2 months. And, but people were saying that, hey, it's just not going to fly. But it was a learning experience, I'm sure, because you learn from those people why it wasn't a deal. Is that correct?
No, exactly. That's spot on. I forget who I heard it from, but I heard the saying, sometimes you earn and sometimes you learn. And that's so true in this business. You obviously are trying to make money, but there's situations that you're going to come across that sometimes will be new and unique. And hey, you may not get that deal to the settlement table and make money, but you're certainly going to learn something from it. So don't ever look at it as you losing. Sometimes you earn and sometimes you learn.
Right. It's all about, right, your attitude about it, because, you're not going to come into this and like, okay, be a superstar. Okay. It doesn't happen.
It's not how the quote unquote gurus make it out to be. That's definitely not true.
Right. And that's even with mentorship. Like, I mean, you have somebody if you have somebody that's guiding you, but I mean, you still, for whatever reason, you put it under contract because you felt bad, for the seller, or you felt uncomfortable getting it at a price that you should get it at in order for the thing to sell. So, it's a learning experience. So, okay. You did okay.
Yeah, people just somebody today inboxed me on Facebook and was like, how did you get to the point you're at, and who was your mentor, or who was your coach? And like, I never had a mentor. I didn't have a coach. Mm-hmm. It was a lot of reading and a lot of hard work and a lot of trial and error. Right. So like, there's no like magic push button secret that is going to make you go from no knowledge and $0 to making $20,000-$30,000 in 30 to 60 days. Like, I know that's what the gurus try to sell people on, right. But that could happen, but it sure enough didn't happen with me.
Right. The likelihood that it's going to happen, unless of course you're somebody that comes into this business, you got, hundreds of dollars or thousands of dollars to market, for deals. I mean, it's just, that's not usually, the average person doesn't walk into this business with that kind of a marketing budget. So, okay. So, all right. So that didn't fly. They told you why. So, okay, you got a little bit better. So from the time that you contracted your first deal to the time that you contracted the deal that actually got to the closing table, what was that, Frank? 4 months, you said? Maybe total 6 months from start to finish?
Yeah, the first deal I actually got to closing was either in like late April of 2010 or early May. Mm-hmm. And at that point though, I actually had after that first deal, I did 3 deals in a matter of 45 to 60 days, and mm-hmm. I made like over $10,000 from the 3 deals, and I was like, oh, this is easy. This is it. This is going to be like this every month. And then I didn't end up closing another deal for like another 4 or 5 months.
And why do you think that?
So it was definitely all like a learning process, and there was struggle, but if you see it through, and make your mind up that you're going to succeed, it will happen. It was very frustrating. I was very disappointed, but I stuck it out, and it's life changing if you do stick it out.
So my question to you then, okay, what was different, or were you doing the same things that you were doing up until that point to generate leads and get deals under contract, or had you maybe stopped doing something during that time period, Frank?
No, I honestly, I didn't think that I was doing anything different. But like I said, when I say I started from ground zero, I started from ground zero. So in the beginning, there was times where I thought something was a deal and it wasn't, and then there was times where I didn't think something was a deal, and then I see somebody else sell it and make a nice spread on it. So I think that I didn't have that continuous, consistent success because I didn't know the market. I didn't know anything about real estate when I got into wholesaling. I didn't have a mentor or coach. I didn't have friends or family that was involved in real estate. I didn't really have somebody I could even really go to for advice. So it was a lot of learning in the beginning, and that is extremely important, in my opinion, to know the market that you're going to be working in, because like I said, sometimes you'll think something is a deal that's not, and sometimes you'll think something's not a deal when it is. And that's just because your lack of knowledge about the market that you're in.
Right. I mean, just in listening to you, and reflecting on my own, hearing my own story through you tell yours, I really think it's good that stuff like that happens to you early on because, one, you don't want to be too cocky and and have a very, I don't want to say unrealistic expectation, but just this expectation that it's just not based on reality, that's how it's going to be all the time. They're going to be, there's stuff, a friend of mine was saying yesterday or a couple of days ago, that it's simple, but it's not easy. There's crap that happens
Exactly.
along the way, man, that, it's like deals get stuck in, deal purgatory. You know what I mean? So, I was raised Catholic.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like
So, stuff happens, stuff happens, but you gotta, you're gonna experience that. I experienced it, it's like you go through this thing where you experience success of this business, and then you go through this period where, like, everything that could go wrong goes wrong. And you gotta get that out of the way, so, but
and people need to realize too, like, it's, stuff's always going to go wrong in this business. Like, that's just how wholesaling is. Like, and when I say that, it's not like it's all bad. Like, there's situations that you're going to have no control over. Like,
right.
Deals are going to fall through. Sellers are going to back out of the contract. Buyers will, but that's just part of this business. So in the beginning, like, I always would let that have like a negative impact on me. Like, if a deal fell through, like, I would be like frustrated, pissed off, and like maybe slack off for a week. But that happens. Like, just in life, shit happens. In real estate, shit happens as well. So you gotta just kind of keep it moving, stay positive, and just realize that that shit happening is part of the business. There's nothing that you can do about it, and you just can't let it really affect what you're doing, and keep moving forward, and you'll get to a point where it bothers you a lot less. Like, when I was doing one deal a month and that one deal fell through,
right.
It was, I don't want to use the word devastated, but I was very disappointed. Now, like, I expect that. Like, I'm doing 7+ deals a month, and I expect that. Like, they're going to fall through. There's nothing that I can do about that. And you just have to realize, like, you can control what you can control. You can control the actions that you're taking, and you can control how you can react to a situation. But there's some stuff that's going to happen that you have no control over, so you can't let that affect you in a negative way too much.
Right. Yeah, what I was going to say was that, one thing I think that's important to remember is that, when you're dealing with problem properties, there are going to be problems. Okay?
Dealing with problems, yeah. Exactly.
You know what I mean? So, I don't know, I appear to be having some problems over here. Can you still see me, Frank?
Yeah, I can see you.
Okay. So, all right, so that's 2010. Moving along, okay, we've gotten over the bumpy road. 2011. So you did, how many deals in 2010, Frank? 6 or something?
In 2010 I did, like, I think maybe like 4.
Okay, 4.
And then in 2011 I did 6, and most of them were from May, the end of May on.
Right.
So in between 2010 and 2011 I did 10 deals, and then in 2012 I did about 12, and in 2013 I did about 40, and my goal for 2014 is at least 120.
Right. So, okay, so you did 4 in 2010. You did what? I'm sorry, Frank, 12 in 2011?
No, it was 4 in 2010,
right.
6 in 2011,
right.
about 12 in 2012,
mm-hmm.
40 in 2013,
right.
And then my goal for 2014 is at least 120 assignment transactions.
So that's like a big gap between what you did in 2012 to what you did in 2013 deal wise. So what would you
I did more.
Right. Yeah, exactly. You did more. So what would you say was a difference between what were you doing in 2013 that you may have not been doing in 2012?
Well, one huge aspect of it was just goal setting. Like, I know that sounds crazy, but like, just when I got involved in this, like, my goal wasn't to make 6 figures a year or millions a year. I just wanted to replace the income that I had at my last job, which was $60,000 a year. So that's kind of like the mentality I had in 2012, was just to kind of make that amount of money and work on my own. And then I talked to like a fellow Philly wholesaler, who told me he was doing like 8 to 10 deals a month.
Is that a mutual friend of ours?
Yeah, our buddy Josh Hertz.
Right. Okay.
So once he told me that, like, it kind of just like, I'm like, if this dude can do that, then hey, I can do 3 deals a month. And sure enough, that's what I started doing, 3 deals a month.
Right.
In 2013.
So from the time that you said to yourself, if Josh can do X amount of deals, then I can do 3. How long did it take for you to get from, with that mindset, Frank, from the time that you thought that to yourself, that you really internalized that belief, how long did it take you to start closing 3 deals then?
Honestly, just like a couple months. Like, it was a matter, I think we talked like in early November of 2012, and he told me this. Okay. And then in January, I started doing it. I started doing like 3 deals a month. And don't get me wrong, it wasn't just goal setting. That was definitely a large part of it, and I believe that everyone should do that. But I also knew my market significantly better. I knew, like, I was a lot more comfortable and confident in knowing about wholesaling in general. So it wasn't just goal setting, it was a number of factors. But if I just always had in my head to continue to do 1 deal a month and make like $60,000 a year, that's what I would have continued to do. And now it's like I set goals. It's like where I try, like, reaching for the moon, like 120 deals a year. I only did 40 last year, so that's triple. Like, my goal is to triple the amount I did last year, which last year was by far my biggest year. And I'm confident that I will do 120, but if I still had that same mentality, I wouldn't even be thinking about doing anywhere near that volume.
Right. Absolutely. I agree. Totally. So, okay, what I was going to ask you was, so, I mean, obviously, so for those who are watching this, Frank, you may have mentioned the fact that, you started to have an understanding or a better understanding of your market. What would you suggest to those who are watching this, I guess, the best way for them to learn their market? Who may not know
I can only speak on the Philadelphia market. So, like, for me, like, one thing that helped me learn the market a lot was driving for dollars. Like, that's a way I used to generate leads. I would drive specific areas, write down vacant properties, lots, if there was like new construction going on.
Right.
And, like that, in addition to being able to pick up vacant properties and lots, like, you could see what type of activity was going on in the area. Like, if there was like a lot of for rent or for sale signs, or there was, properties that were actively being worked on. And then once I did get those vacant properties and lots, like, I would just go home and research them on the public records, like look at values and sale prices in the area. So it was like just a lot of hard work and time-consuming effort to do it. But if you don't know your market, it's very hard to be successful.
Right. All right. I hate to have to ask you this again, Frank, but you still see me, correct?
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay, because there's something funky going on over here. So, okay, great. So, for those who are watching that, Frank gave you an idea how to begin to start learning your market. And as I always say, Google is your friend. Google is our friend. So, okay, I would put, maybe Google path of progress in Birmingham, Alabama. I mean, as an example, like wherever you live, maybe Google. You gotta get comfortable with doing some research on your own and not, you know what I mean? Because I know a lot of people, instead of learning on their own, they're more comfortable with just putting a question out there, as opposed to really digging in and figuring it out. I think it's necessary to figure certain things out for yourself, and then sometimes, then you want to apply the work smarter, not harder thing. But I think that's a very good point, though, Frank. You know what I mean? Drive for dollars, man, and then pay attention.
Drive for dollars and do a lot of pay attention and do a lot of like online research, like just like how you said, like Google. Like, you can find out literally anything in the world anymore just by typing it in and doing some research. Like, type in the question and do a lot of reading. Like I read every day. Like I do research every single day. Like you have to continuously like learn and adjust if you want to continue to expand your business. But definitely there's so many free tools and resources out there that you shouldn't ever say, well, I don't know, so I can't do it. Like go Google it, go do online research, and if you want to find something out, you're going to find it out.
Right. I mean, I just here's a tip for everybody watching. I banned up one of the without saying it, like span up your city government. You know what I mean? They're on Facebook, they're on Twitter. Follow them, because if you're not someone I'm not a news watcher, and I don't really read newspapers, it's a way to keep up with what's going on in your city. So just, figure that out. Okay. Google that or go inside, if you're inside Facebook, just type in, whatever your city, the city or town or county or whatever, and see if they're on Facebook and fan them up. I mean, it'll be in your news feed. You don't have to do anything other than fan the page up, to kind of maybe be in the know as to what's going on in your area or the areas that you're targeting. So anyway.
I definitely agree.
Yeah, so I mean, I know some stuff that's going on just simply because of that. You know what I mean? You gotta keep your ear to the ground, and maybe even get involved. Get involved with the city council or go to some of the meetings that are going on around areas that are gentrifying, where they're revitalizing the neighborhoods. I mean, that's how you find us. You gotta do stuff that the average person's not gonna do.
Exactly. Like if this were like real easy and everyone would do it. It gets to a point where it does get a lot easier, but in the beginning, like it's a lot of trial and error. It's a lot of hard work, effort. You have to put in a lot of hours to not only know your market, but be able to feel comfortable and confident in speaking about what you do as a wholesaler.
Right. So, I mean, okay, so let's maybe jump into like, without, you don't have to disclose everything, Frank, because everything is not for everybody. You know what I mean? But, what things are you doing now, and what were things that you were doing, in 2013, to be able to, close as many deals as you were, closing and are closing now? Like what forms of marketing, were you using?
When I first started,
and how much marketing were you doing as well?
When I first started, I would probably do maybe like 100 to 200 bandit signs like a month. Mm-hmm. And that's all I was doing for probably a good over a year, because I didn't really know anything else to really do. And then I did try, I think in early 2011, I did try, like postcards, direct mail, but I had like zero success with that. So I didn't do any direct mail until really some point in, towards the end of 2012. But what I'm currently doing now is I take massive consistent action. And what massive consistent action do I take? I do a significant amount of yellow letters, direct mail. I do online marketing.
How much are you doing, Frank?
Well, most of 2013, I was probably only doing like roughly 2,000 letters a month, 2,000 to 3,000 maybe. And that's when I was doing like 3 deals a month. And that's primarily what I was doing, was just doing direct mail.
And what does that,
now I'm doing,
just to interrupt you, just so I'm doing it just because of those who are watching. So 2,000 yellow letters per month equated to what dollar-wise in terms of a marketing?
Dollar. Well, I'm saying the cost of a yellow letter out the door is anywhere from 50 to 60 cents. Mm-hmm. And if I was doing 2,000 to 3,000 letters a month, so 3,000 letters a month would cost me a little over $1,500.
Okay. So were you outsourcing that, Frank?
I went back and forth with it, actually. Like when I originally heard about the yellow letters, I was outsourcing it. I was paying like 90 some cents for a yellow letter, and then I kind of figured out how to do it on my own. And I would have like a virtual assistant create the mail merge. I would print the envelopes and letters, and then I would pay family members to stuff and stamp them.
Right.
And now I'm going back to actually outsourcing it again.
Okay. Great point. So go ahead. So yellow letters.
Direct mail, yellow letters. Like I haven't put up postcards or sent postcards in quite some time, but I recently actually got a postcard design that I'm going to test within the next month or so. So I do a significant amount of direct mail. I do online marketing and driving for dollars. Like those, and with the driving for dollars, I actually will send them a letter or research them, skip trace them using a software program called Accurate.
Mm-hmm.
But that's primarily like what I've been doing to get to the point that I'm at now. And for the first time in 2 years, I actually just put up bandit signs the past like week or so. I actually ordered 500, and I'm going to start putting up probably 100 a week.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And then there's a couple other things, like, because my goal by the end of this year is to be doing 20 assignment transactions a month. So what I just discussed today, that I have been doing, I'm going to build on that. I'm going to be doing a lot more of it. And then I'm also going to start implementing a few new marketing techniques that I'm going to test and implement that I have talked to other successful wholesalers throughout the country, which they're using and having success with. So I'm going to start implementing a few other marketing techniques as well. Specifically, one would be submitting massive amount of offers on MLS listed properties.
Okay.
I've talked to a couple people throughout the country who are doing that and who are having a lot of success doing it. So I kind of pick their brain and ask them what they're doing, and I'm just going to implement what they are doing here in my market.
Okay. So for somebody who's listening and hearing you say that, right, and they're not a licensed real estate agent, what would you recommend them do? If they wanted to use that strategy to start, picking up deals, what would you recommend they do?
Find a real estate agent, like interview a bunch of them. Tell them just be completely honest with them. Tell them what you're doing and what you're going to need from them and what they can expect from you. And you may have to go through 20, 30, but you just need one person to do it. So put the effort for it. Reach out to a bunch of agents and just find one who's willing to submit a lot of offers. They can pretty much get it systemized. And even myself, like, it's not something that I'm personally going to do. Like, I'm going to do one of two things. I'm either going to find an agent that's going to be willing to do it for me, or I'm going to get software and have my virtual assistant do it on behalf of myself.
Okay. All right. So excellent. So yellow letters, right?
Yellow letters.
Skip tracing and bandit signs were essentially the three forms of marketing that you implemented on a monthly basis.
Well, the bandit signs have just been more like literally, I put them up for the first time about a week ago for the first time in a couple of years. So what I have been primarily doing for like 2013, where I started closing a good amount of deals on a regular basis, was direct mail yellow letters, online marketing, and the driving for dollars. And with the driving for dollar leads, I would either send them a letter or skip trace them and find a telephone number and cold call them.
Right. So when you say online marketing, though, Frank, what do you mean specifically about online marketing? Because that could mean a whole bunch of things, but...
Well, mainly SEO. I have a company that does SEO work for my website. I don't close a ton of deals from that, but that is something that I consistently implement. And I'm actually starting to do a lot more of it now, and I am starting to generate more leads the past, I would say, 2 to 3 months. Because I've more so the past few months been trying to kind of brand myself and build a reputation. That way I can start being more well known and start working with other wholesalers to do JV deals. And that's another thing that I did last year as well. I did more JV deals than I really did before, and something I'm going to focus on more so moving forward.
Right. Because why? Because 50% of something is better than 0%.
Exactly. And to me, if you don't have that mentality, it's probably you're new to the game. Because when I was new to the game, like, I definitely felt that way. I'm like, I want to get 100% of this. So I'm not really going to reach out to other wholesalers. But guess what? Sometimes I wouldn't end up selling something, and it was like I got 100% of nothing. If I would have reached out to some other people, then I could have got 50% of something.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
I'm at a point now like where it's volume. Like I'm looking to significantly increase my volume. So I can't do everything on my own. Like I have somebody working with me on the ground here now in Philly. I have 3 virtual assistants right now, and I'm looking to build my buyers list a lot more because a lot of people send me deals now. So I want to start JVing, and not just them sending me a deal and I bring a buyer, but there's times where I'll have a deal and someone else will bring a buyer.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah, because Frank and I, funny because we, for the past 3 years probably, have been we've been close, but it hasn't happened. So hopefully this will be our.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny just because like I don't really talk to that many like wholesalers like on a personal level, I guess, other than you and a couple other people. But it's funny that we just have known each other for a few years. We talk relatively often. And we still have yet to close the deal. Like there has been, I think, 2, 3, or more times like where we were almost there, but it just fell apart for one reason or another.
Absolutely, absolutely. So awesome. So I mean, I think that's key. You know what I mean? Especially if you're starting out, okay, you don't really have a budget for marketing, then hey, here's another tip. Take some cardboard signs. Say, for instance, you're not even at a place where Frank was when he first got started with ordering bandit signs. Go to, any store, right? They get deliveries and they have a bunch of empty cardboard boxes. Go snatch those things up, or, just go in there, maybe, introduce yourself, let them know that, you're looking for some empty boxes, cut them up. Get a darn magic marker or a Sharpie or whatever the hell, preferably something that's waterproof, okay? And write up some signs. I mean, it could even be something real. For example, 7K. That first deal I was telling you about in the beginning, when Frank and I were talking about contracting our first deal, I got more. I may not, the deal didn't close, but I built a buyer's list from that. So listen, you can build a buyer's list and bring buyers to someone else's deals. So, I mean, I think that's like the coolest thing. Okay.
Yeah. When people,
what are you going to say, Frank?
No, I was just going to say, like, when people, like, you're getting started, like, you definitely want to, like, read a lot and educate yourself, but it's so important to take action because you reading doesn't generate you leads. Reading isn't going to make you money. Like, you definitely want to read to sound comfortable and confident in what you're talking about when you're dealing with buyers or sellers. But reading is only going to get you so far. Like, you have to take action. And it's like sometimes people will be like, oh, well, I don't know what to do. Well, do something. Like, doing something is better than doing nothing. And you just have to take consistent action, and, like, you're going to learn. Like, you may not start earning money right away, but if you are out there hitting the streets and taking action, you're going to get a deal closed a lot further than versus if you're sitting in your house and staying on Facebook and reading about other people or reading a book.
Right.
Like, it's just not going to happen in terms of closing deals if you don't take some type of action.
Right. And you can't leave any room for excuses. I'm just going to say this and then we're going to start to wrap up. But, like Frank was saying, I mean, I often reference this, my former business partner. I mean, she didn't have a car at the time. And so she had her bandit signs and she had her little tote bag and wrote her bandit signs up, put them in the tote bag, and would hop on public transportation to go put out bandit signs. So I'm just saying, there's like no excuse. There's a way. And I think that when you start out with nothing, I think you're in a better position, really. You don't see it, you're not able to see it then because you're in it and it's frustrating, but you're forced to have to think outside of the box and be creative. And, that's going to get you very far in this business because you're not doing what everybody else is doing that maybe has a budget to do, some things. So, you know what I mean? So, it's funny because I was just.
Yeah, you definitely I cannot stress enough. Like, it's definitely not easy. This business is not easy in the beginning, but it will definitely get easier, like, once you get more experience, and it's well worth it once you can get to a point, like, where you are closing deals consistently. It's not going to happen overnight.
Right.
It may, if you're lucky, but to me, generally speaking, like it takes a lot of time, hard work, and effort for you to get to a point where you're closing deals consistently every single month.
Right. And at the level that, that you know, like for example, with our friend Josh, okay, I mean, 8 to 10, I mean, that, you know, to be consistently closing, I mean, there's certain things you got to be doing. And listen, I'm going to say this, relationships, okay, because, you know, Frank markets on the level that he markets on, I market on the level that I market on, but sometimes it's not just about marketing alone. It's about relationships. And Frank, you know, he made mention of that in terms of joint venturing. And I remember I have posted, relationships are what get my deals closed. That's what gets my deals closed, are relationships. So, you know, that's an important, I think that's critical, to your success as well. You gotta, you know, the business relationships that you develop and maintain in the business. So,
yeah, it's definitely, and that I definitely agree with that. Like, it's so important to, like, if you want to be in this business for the long haul, like, your reputation is extremely important.
right.
And if you get a bad reputation, people aren't going to want to deal with you. So it's very important to build relationships, and you have to be honest with people, not trying to screw people out of one deal. Because, like, me and Amon were talking before the podcast, and it's like, you get to a point in, like, where, like, most of us in Philadelphia, like, we know who we are. Like,
Right.
we know each other.
Right.
So if you start trying to screw one of us, then most of the other people are going to hear about that, and
Right.
you're not going to be in the business too long.
Right. Absolutely.
And that's, like, to me, that's very important to me. Like, I'm a very upfront, honest, I'm a brutally honest person. Like, I don't ever want to mislead someone, or I would never try to screw anyone over unless they try to screw me over.
Right.
But building relationships is huge. Like, now, like, when I first started, like I said, I had no mentor, or I couldn't go to anyone. Because I have built, like, a pretty good reputation in Philadelphia, there are people I can reach out to who are more successful than myself and ask for advice. And because I do have a good relationship with them now, I get some good advice that may cost somebody else some money, but because I have a good relationship with someone, then I get that for free.
Right. You know, and like they say, you know, your network, man, I mean, you know, they may sound trite and cliche, but it's true. You know, your net worth, you know, is equal to the network that you're, is equal to the business, I mean, to the folks that you're networking with in your business. So, excuse me. So,
no problem. Yeah, no, I definitely agree. Like you just, like we're saying, like, relationship building is huge, especially if you're in this business for, like, the long haul, which I am. Like, this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. All forms of real estate investing, not just wholesaling. But
absolutely.
if I go around and screw Amon out of one deal,
right.
people are going to hear about that, and they're like, you know what? I don't want to deal with that guy anymore. So
right.
People, like, are very short-sighted, because there are, like, a lot of grimy people in this business who will try to, like, screw you out of one deal. But you trust me when I say, if you do that, if you have that mentality, like, you're not going to be in this business for the long haul.
Right. Yeah. And, you know, the bottom line is, you know, I mean, greed is at the root of all that. So you don't want to be that kind of person. And, you know, you got to treat this thing like a marriage, man. Like, your relationships with the people you do business with, you know, I mean, it's you know, you got to do it like that. So anyway.
You want to almost build like a friendship, or like a business friendship, I should say, with people that you're doing deals with. You want to build, like, a good rapport with them.
Right.
You don't, like I said, your reputation is key in this business if you're going to be in it long term.
Right. Absolutely. So this has been exciting. We're going to wrap it up. Frank's got some closings going on today. I got stuff I got to do. So, excuse me, Frank, just to, you know, to kind of end on, what would you recommend folks who are watching this, you know, to, what things would you recommend, to folks? I mean, what should the takeaway be from this video interview that you and I are doing?
I just want to say, like, anybody can be successful in this business. Like, theoretically, I should say. I started with zero knowledge, zero contacts in this business, and last year I made six figures. This year I'm going to make well over that, and I feel that in the next 3 to 5 years, like, I'll be, with all facets of real estate, I'll be doing $1 million a year. So don't think that I'm some unique person and I got lucky, or I'm at the point I am today, and I'm going to get to the point that I'm going to want to get to, because I'm busting my ass. I'm taking consistent, massive action, and I'm just hustling, you know, like, you have to put in a lot of time and effort into this business. But if you're willing to sacrifice in the beginning, it will be life-changing. Like, there's not something, I have an associate's degree from Community College of Philadelphia. I barely made it through high school, so there's nothing else in the world that I could do with my education and skill set that will allow me to live the type of life that I live and I'm going to live other than this. Right. So just in the beginning, you definitely want to educate yourself. Like, you want to be able to sound comfortable and confident when you're talking to a buyer or a seller. And then you have to take action. And it's not just action in the sense where, hey, I'm going to put out 100 bandit signs and not get a deal, and this isn't for me. It's massive, consistent action. But if you educate yourself and take massive, consistent action, anybody can be successful in this business as long as you're willing to stick it out. Because it's not easy in the beginning, like the gurus try to make it out to be, but it will get a lot easier and will be well worth it.
Right. Absolutely. And I think that's key. I mean, out of everything, I mean, you said some really, you shared some really good stuff, Frank, but I mean, at the end of the day, that's what it's about. I say it too, that, it's not just about, massive action. Anybody can massively act upon anything, but the consistency, that's really what's gonna, you know what I mean? It's going to make all the difference. Massive consistent action is the key. I mean, that's with anything. So, but
definitely.
You know what I mean? So hopefully you guys, got a lot out of this video interview with Frank. And, cause I know I did. So, and if you're watching this here on YouTube, please do not forget to subscribe to the channel, for, videos such as this. There are more to come. Also we have, myself and my partner, Lo Chiro. We have a free group, on Facebook called Free Real Estate Wholesaling Training for Newbies. Again, that's Free Real Estate Wholesaling Training for Newbies. It's a great community. There's lots of learning going on. We're doing trainings. We're not just, in there just, shooting a breeze. I mean, we're both myself and Lo are